Namaskar everyone. Today is 26th of August and just like every year, this year also Sharda Vidya Mandir CBSE is conducting a health seminar. Health seminar in the sense it's a kind of awareness program where we invite some eminent doctor from across the state to come and brief us about the present situation, about the do's and don'ts which you need to follow during the pandemic. Today we are very privileged to have among us one of our experts belonging to SSKM Hospital, Kolkata. She is presently the RMO of Raiganj Medical College. So this video is mainly for all the students, all the parents and all the residents of the district to get some expert opinion and advice on the third wave, the fears, the anxieties that we have in mind. Presenting before you on behalf of Sharda Vidya Mandir CBSE a brief notification, a brief kind of information for all of you to follow. Kindly watch the video and get some information. Stay safe, stay home, use masks, wash your hand frequently. Thank you very much. Jai Bharat, Jai West Bengal.
Good afternoon, respected teachers, students and others. So I have been asked to speak about the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. So as we all know that coming straight to the point, the second wave just was nearing the end when we are already getting reports of increased number of detected cases coming up, and so by the data that we have, it is projected that we might have a surge of cases at around October of this year. Some are saying it can be in December, which is being called as the third wave. And so one of the proposed causative agents of this would be a mutated version of the original virus strain found first in Wuhan, China. It is called the Delta Plus variant. It is being called, and it is supposed to be more transmissible and more deadlier than the other strains. So these strains are nothing but different versions we get by genome sequencing, and so this we are expecting that this will affect the children more and also the rural population more, which have somehow escaped this time. So is this a cause for concern? Yes, it is definitely a cause for concern, but it is not a cause to panic. We must be well prepared this time, because we have been prepared the two previous times already due to complacency on our parts, due to the government being unable to inform us about the possibility of a second wave, and also because of lockdown fatigue that people had. People were tired of being cooped up in their homes and wanted to come out, and so the COVID appropriate behavior became lax, and hence it led to the spread and hence the second wave. So what are the effects that happen? We can expect. That is already, we have already faced all this time now. So we know anybody who can be affected, the general population, anyone can be affected, and the effects are on the patients of COVID-19, the family members of the COVID-19 patients, also some special groups like children, women, people with multiple comorbidities like chronic illnesses, hypertension and diabetes, and also people living with disability, and the people with gender, different kind of expression of gender and sexuality. So, and also we have the migrant workers and the frontline healthcare workers like the police, the healthcare workers and the people associated with the waste management sector. It affects different people in different ways. vulnerable place due to this. What will be the mental effects of this virus we can expect? One is we have seen that this virus directly affects the brain. It travels to the olfactory nerves in our nose and directly travels via the neurons into the brain, causing its effects, the biological effects. Thereby there is delirium, there is, as we know, a very common symptom is loss of taste and smell. But for this third wave, it is being said that these two symptoms will not be so common. Rather, the more common symptoms you can expect is fever, headache, runny nose will be more common than these two symptoms. So it is always important to be detecting the cases soon enough so that it does not spread easily. And so what all can we do to be more prepared about this? So as we all know this, that the safety protocols, I'll just be going over them in a brief. We all know the safety protocols by now. It has been said over and over again. It still applies to the third wave. It will, and in general, personal hygiene is important in any case, virus or no virus. So we will make sure there is physical distancing, which is maintaining at least 6 to 8 feet distance between two individuals. This is done so that the droplet spread of the infection, which is produced by the aerosol produced by coughing and sneezing, can only travel so far. So, and we will make sure to cover our noses with and mouth with at least a surgical mask and preferably an N95 mask if we are going to high risk areas like the hospitals and crowded places in buses, etc. And we can also use caps and gloves. And so an essential component of this is hand washing. So everybody knows about hand washing, but it is often in day-to-day practice neglected. So I'll be just going over the hand washing basics, like the steps. I can demonstrate it to you, and it should last for at least 40 to 60 seconds for the virus to be inactivated. Any soap and water will do. So we first take the soap or the hand wash in our hands. We use a little water. We use a liberal amount so that it spreads over the surfaces properly. Then we will interlock our hands with the palm of the right hand over the dorsum of the left hand and go like this. And we will do the same for the opposite hand. And then we will do it with the palm facing each other, interlocking the fingers. We will rub it in, and then we will rub the knuckles of our fingers over the palm of the other hand. Same on the other side. Then we will clean the tips of the fingers over the palm, both sides. Then we will roll the fingers over the palm and for the other side. And then we use to clean the whole hand along with the elbows. And the most important step is to, after we finish this, we must turn off the water by the elbows or use a disposable paper towel to turn off the tap. Because that is the step we often miss. After washing, following the guidelines, we are closing the tap with our hands. So it is again getting contaminated. So we must keep that in mind. And we can use an alcohol-based sanitizer, as we all know. Must be having 70% and so it must be allowed to dry completely before we proceed to do our eating or any other job. And we must not touch our mouth and face and eyes as often without cleaning it. And we must cover our mouth with a towel or a tissue. If it is not available, then we can at least use the sleeves of our dress by covering our mouth with the elbow, so that it doesn't spread. So these are all the COVID appropriate behaviors we must follow. And this is regarding the personal safety measures mostly. And we know that we should not go out without a valid reason and avoid crowded places, etc. Also, so personal care, like self-care, for the emotional and mental well-being, for the grown-ups and for the children. So, for the grown-ups, a lot of people are now dealing with work from home issues. Then there are people who have lost their jobs, and then there's being locked up in their rooms for a long time. So for people who are working from home, it is essential that they segregate a particular area of their house for the work and not interchange it with the other areas of the house. It is very essential. Otherwise, there will be no boundary between your work life and your family life. And make sure to have a particular designated time where we are working and a designated time we devote to the family. And so, and also we must take frequent breaks from continuously gazing into the screen. We all know this. And we must go for small walks in between, sip a glass of water, look outside the window after having gazed at the screen. It helps us to accommodate our eyesight better. It relieves the eye strain if we look outside and for some time. And and also for people who have been together, seeing the same face every single day, we have seen unfortunately rise of domestic violence towards women and children, sadly. So children and women are more vulnerable because they are the ones mostly who are staying at home, whereas the man of the family is going out for work. And so that has to be taken care of. We know there's a ring the doorbell initiative. We know about it. If we happen to notice that there is a case of violence happening in our neighborhood, in our house beside ours, we can always just ring the doorbell of that house, and that will interrupt the process of violence that is happening. And elderly abuse has also increased because people think it is a burden already on their economic problems, on their own problems. So yeah, elderly abuse and basically the vulnerable people and also the animals of the house. It has been seen in certain cases. They have been subjected to abuse. So about that, and it's important to remember that it is a time of uncertainty. There is hopelessness in people's mind. People do not know when this will get over, whether the economy will recover, whether we will go back to pre-COVID times. Nobody actually can say for certain. So it's important to learn to deal with the uncertainty. It will be essential to deal with that. And with respect to children, I will say that since they are having the least exposure to the outside world, they have a lot of questions about what is happening happening around them. They are naturally inquisitive people who have a very impressionable mind. So it's only important that people in power, that is parents and teachers, address their queries as to what is happening around the world right now, and not just neglect their queries and just ignore them and tell them to keep quiet or something. And it will help them cope with the situation better. And when they understand that how they can contribute, how they can help to change the situation, home atmosphere for better. And they must be also engaged in dialogue, because we'll be surprised how often they come up with brilliant ideas. And it's important to limit their screen time. I mean, we cannot ignore that there is online classes going on, and it is rightly so, it is needed. But we must limit the hours of usage of the smartphone or laptop or TV to it is approximately the hours is actually different for different advocacy groups. So that the eye strain and the physical activity issue is dealt with. Like they should be given frequent breaks, and they should be allowed to have some exposure to nature in their daily schedule. They should not be sitting inside the house all day. Even if it is the terrace or the park, they should be allowed to go out for some time. Like it has been previously called as nature therapy. Like it has also been called as green time. Spending time in nature, walking barefoot in grass for some time, looking up at the sky, watching the birds, and gardening if possible, if somebody can take it as a hobby. So why is it beneficial? Because one, it is a source of oxygen, we know, being out in the greens, and it also makes us physically active, and it keeps us for some time away from the daily distractions of the home. And for that, so screen time, green time, and then and most importantly, in lockdown, we should not at all mess with our schedules. Going to bed at the same time, getting up at the same time, brushing our teeth, small, simple daily activities. They should be continued each and every day, even in changed circumstances. Having a healthy, full breakfast, and then assigning a period of time for exercises, stretching exercises. Even at home, you can use a skipping rope, or you can just walk in the terrace of your home if going outside is not an option. And so physical activity, and also to keep our brains engaged, we could do some mental exercises also. It will help to keep our stress levels down. The mental exercises that we could do would be like body scan, mindfulness meditation, and there's a engaging with the 5 senses. So it would be like anybody could do it, not just the children. Anybody can be taught to do it, and should do this disconnecting from the world for some time in the day. So what is the body scan? It is like we focus on an aspect of our body while being in a comfortable posture. We focus on different aspects: the position, the feeling, the touch, the sensations arising out of that, the relation of that body part in relation to other parts, and focusing in that and moving on to the other parts, and starting from the feet will observe them from a third party perspective. We'll just observe them, will not react, and it will pass, and then we can observe the flow of the thoughts. That is as simple as that. And then we can go for the engagement of the senses, like we focus on 5 things that we can see around us, and then we can focus on 4 sounds that we can hear, 3 feelings that we are experiencing, and 2 smell that we can perceive at this moment, and 1 taste. And these can be imaginary and also real time. Supposing we go back in time and remember the taste of our favorite food, or some food that we really liked at one point, and we relish that and remember that, and feel as if we are having that again. So we could do these kind of exercises. Besides, there is yoga, as we all know. There is different schedules also these days for in terms of physical activity that we can follow. And so yeah, we have to basically take care of ourselves, of our physical health, of our mental health, and these two are related. We must not neglect either of these. Both physical and mental health should be taken care of simultaneously to have the most effect. And so about illnesses, so we see that in the general population there is high levels of stress, there is fear, there is worry, and also we see that a lot of new onset mental illness is coming up to us, like people who are newly being diagnosed with depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD, particularly who were admitted in the ICU in COVID affected times. And so new onset diagnosis is coming up, and they never had a past or family history of this before. And besides that, we see people who had previous history of mental illness having a relapse of their illness after being symptom free. They are having exacerbation, like their symptoms are flaring up in this stressful times. Then there is also shortage of healthcare workers, because most of the healthcare task force has been shunted for COVID care. So the other areas of the health, like psychiatry and other chronic illnesses like diabetes, hypertension, doctors of that specialty are in shortage now. So there is a lack of healthcare access, and it is leading to flare up of symptoms. Also, there is lack of medicines, there is short supply of medicines and other healthcare personnel. So all of this is leading to the incidence of stress and new illnesses in the general population. So what are the things that we can do about it is that we must be first aware that these things can happen and what we must do to prevent them. So especially the rural outreach population, they are not reaching the news and the day-to-day updates and all. So they have no idea what is happening. So more outreach programs for educating them and building awareness should be done. And mediums like this, these are also very, very important for addressing the issue. And another thing is that not to be stressed out by the news. Some people have the habit of having the news channel on the entire day. They are trying to get COVID updates every minute, every second. So it is very detrimental. It is like an addiction. So we must limit the exposure to news and COVID-related all kinds of information to a certain period of the day, and not engage in discussion COVID-related discussion. It is important to be aware, but we must not be so much delved into it that it affects us negatively. So, yeah, limiting our news intake is very important. So yeah, exercise, addressing our mental health concerns, and keeping a healthy habit in the daily lives, and taking care of the vulnerable population like elderly, children, etc., will ensure that we will be confident enough to face the third wave or any other wave that might come. Like for instance, it is being said that USA is already going to the fourth wave. So yeah, so no matter which wave we come through, if we have some arsenal in our armatorium, then we will be able to confidently face the problem and deal with it. And we must have a support group at this period of time, our own support network, who we can fall back upon in terms of major crisis. It can be anybody. It can be a trusted friend. It can be a teacher. It can be a parent who we can confide in our moments of weakness, and just attentive listening. Just attentive listening helps a lot. We did not always offer advice to the people. It suffices to just listen empathetically and with compassion. And this is essential that we handhold each other throughout this humanitarian crisis, as you say. We as humans, we can support each other and make sure we go out of this in the best way possible. And help is always available. There is a lot of resources online thanks to the internet we have. But make sure to get your information from a reliable source, because there is a lot of information overload going on. So we don't know which information to follow. So we are kind of, left at a loss. Like one would be the World Health Organization website would be a good go-to reference site where there is a lot of resources available which we can take the help of. There is telephonic caller helplines. There is resources on the website of the Government of India, and different state governments are also having their own helplines and all. So yeah, help is available. We must be taking the help, and don't be afraid to reach out to a mental health professional, be it a psychiatrist, be it a psychiatric social worker, clinical psychologist, counselors, and just anybody, just even your friendly, the person that you trust. So yeah, with that I would like to say that with combined effort by the concerned people, the authorities, for better preparedness to detect the cases in the right time, more research into this area to be aware of the new developments, and just helping each other and be prepared with all the resources that you have. I'm sure we can be hoping to tackle COVID-19 and